The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
And hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Friday episode of Running Point on YSNLive.com, brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show every single day. We're doing it today because we have a couple of live guests, as you can see, brand new district champions from Champion, Gabby Gradishar and Bella Meyer. Gabby, Bella, thank you both so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you.
So let's talk about this district championship, getting back to regionals. We talked to both you guys earlier in the season about this, about how hungry you were after falling in the regional finals last year. Now that you're here, you're in the regionals. What's it kind of feel like to finally have this goal under wraps? We'll start with Bella, and then we can go to Gabby.
It's really exciting, especially, having that district final that we've been working for. Kind of just hoping that things still fall in our favor and we can keep it going.
Yeah, it's just an amazing feeling knowing that we're district champs and just season going.
You guys were playing a Lakeview team that you had played earlier in the season. You had a 5-0 win over it. Gabby, it was a perfect game for you. So I'm wondering, Gabby, coming into this game the second time around against this Lakeview offense, what were some of the things that you were trying to do to attack them, knowing that you had seen them before and knowing that they were trying to make adjustments on you the second time around?
Yeah, so they're a good team and they're going to hit. So I had to go in giving it my best and really mixing up all my different pitches.
And then Bella, on the offensive side, this Champion team had a good day through the lineup. You go through it. A lot of people had hits. A lot of people contributed. From a senior's point of view and a hallmark of the lineup, what do you think was working so well against their pitching?
I think, they kind of throwed all their pitchers at us, so we had a good idea of what each pitcher was throwing. So going into the game, we had we knew what we were expecting. So I think we just tried to have good pitch selection and trying to hit the ones that we weren't chasing and all that.
Bella, as a senior in this tournament, how have you fought that instinct feeling where we see some seniors get tight because it's it could be the last game, not you. So what have you been doing to just kind of keep yourself in the right mindset and not think about the downside of a tournament and just think about doing the best you can to go out there and getting a win?
Yeah, I don't really want to go into any game thinking this is gonna be my last. I kind of just want to be in the moment, take it all in with my teammates, my coaches, just my fans. I mean, everyone that's there. I know that I don't have that much time left, so kind of just soaking it all in, but playing my best and leaving it all out on the field.
Gabby, for the first time this year, you get a couple of days off in the circle. You get to rest a little bit. You don't have to play again until Monday, a tournament tune-up against Canfield, and then your regional game on Wednesday. What's it like to finally have a couple of days, quote unquote, off and then not have to, go and pitch 4 times in a week leading up to regionals?
Yeah, no, it's great having a few days off, but my saying is no days off. So obviously I'm going to keep putting the work in and getting ready for that next game.
So what are some of your, things that you're going to do in the next couple of days or the next couple, I should say the next week or so before Wednesday, stay sharp, stay engaged, and make sure there's no rust at all in the little break between district championship and regional finals?
Yeah, so really just focusing on on everything. Like every little detail is really important and just keeping on my game.
Bella, we talked about senior leadership when we had you on for the player profile. To see a lot of these young players step up in a district championship game and perform so well as a leader of this team, what's that make you feel like, knowing that a lot of these young girls are coming up and stepping up in big moments?
Yeah, it's definitely a big thing. I mean, everyone has their own role on the team, so we try and just remind everyone that like we need you guys up, and like it's okay if you make a mistake. Like we are a team, so that's what like we're here for, to have each other's back. Most of the girls, but not all, have like been in this moment, have been playing in these big games. So I mean, for the ones that haven't, we try and remind them like this is fun. Like you need to have fun with it, and let like this is kind of like it could happen again, but you never know.
You guys had a great celebration. We saw highlights of it. I want to talk about that moment, that last out, and what it was like to celebrate with your team. We'll start with Gabby. We'll go to Bella after. But what was it like the last out, realizing that you were district champs and you could celebrate a little bit?
Yeah, so I threw the last out, and just seconds after, I felt Bella come running up and jumping on me. And just after that, all the team was there, and it was really just an amazing feeling everybody there and just excited knowing that we're the champs.
Yeah, I actually almost like tackled Gabby before she threw it. But that was like that's the kind of like the best feeling. Like that's what you've been waiting for. It's really exciting, and having that back to back. I mean, that's kind of what we've been wanting. So I mean, it was a great feeling.
Gabby, going through that, talk about going through a whole seventh inning in that game where you have a lead, you're trying to get that last out. The old cliche in softball is the last out's the hardest to get. Was your heart pumping a little bit more in the last inning, knowing that you were that close to a championship?
Yes, it was, but I knew my defense was behind me, and no matter what, we were going to be there, and the team had my back. So I was really excited.
Bella, what about you going through that last inning? Was the adrenaline going up a little bit more, knowing that like it's that close, it's tangible, you have 3 outs away?
Yeah, definitely. I think after that second out, everyone was up. I mean, that was kind of an epic play. So I think we were just like this is so close, like we're almost there, and we just were like on the tip of our toes.
New regional site this year. We're heading down the Baldwin Wallace for this regional, not Victory Park like last year. A turf field nonetheless, though. So, what kind of things are excite you guys about being in regionals, going down to a new place, a college field, and being able to kind of try to show off your skills on the big stage?
I love turf. I like it way better than dirt, so I'm really excited to play on that. It's always exciting playing on a college field. I mean, that's going to be a good experience, and hopefully it brings out a lot of fans.
Yeah, just really having that excitement around that whole stadium, and also knowing that few of our like newer players really haven't got the chance to play on turf, so that will be an adjustment for us, but I think we'll make adjustments just fine.
Everyone loves to talk about pitching on turf, and there are people on both sides, whether you have an advantage on dirt or advantage on turf. Gabby, from your perspective as a pitcher, you've pitched on turf before, of course. What are some of the things that are a little bit different? What's some things you have to prepare for when you're not pitching on dirt, but you're pitching on turf now?
Yeah, so with dirt, you kind of don't know what you're going to deal with because you can have those canyons and huge divots throughout the dirt. But with turf, you don't have to really focus on that. You just got to focus on throwing your game and really just having fun with it.
Bella, you have to deal with the hops in the infield too. Turf can be, a little bit different than dirt when you're fielding ground balls. So, what kind of things do you do to prepare for now fielding balls on the turf instead of on the dirt?
I think fielding on dirt is way harder because like of the rocks, and you get unexpected hops. I think it's so much smoother with turf. So I think I mean I play on turf a lot and travel, so I don't think it's gonna be that much of an adjustment for me. But I think it'll be like much more easier.
All right, I want you guys both to talk real quick about Cheryl Weaver and getting her another district championship. We've talked to you about her in both your profiles, a Hall of Fame coach now, but talk about what it was like to share this moment with her and to be able to celebrate with Cheryl and give her another district championship in her lengthy career at champion.
Yeah, I mean she's a great coach. She leads by a great example. I know she wanted that just as bad as we did. So I think it was like really exciting getting her another one. Hopefully there's more in her future. But I mean it was a good moment with her and the team.
Yeah, just like Bella said, I mean, she's an amazing coach, and you can't ask any more of her. And just like you said again, she's been there multiple times. Why not give her another one?
You guys are the second game on Wednesday, so you'll play in the game that follows South Range versus Tuslaw. Are there any advantages to being able to go down there early and being able to watch the game before you, or do you like getting there and being able to be the first game up, or do you not even care whether you're first or second?
Yeah, I think being there early gives us an advantage. Really scope out what we might see when if we win that game after that. But really, just again, just really watching softball, that gives everybody an advantage.
Right.
Yeah, I also agree. It would be a good advantage to be able to watch them. We don't really know much about Tesla. We played South Range last year, but also they're a new team. So I think being able to watch them and see what they have would be a good for us.
I know you guys don't want to think ahead. You have the goal right in front of you, which is regional semifinals. But real quick, just go over what a regional championship would mean to you to get this team in this program back to state. If you were lucky enough, I should say, you're definitely good enough, lucky enough to get into the state championship, state semifinals. What would that mean to you guys?
I think it would. I mean, I would love to. I mean, definitely because we're so close last year, and this being this is it for me. So I mean, I really like to get to state, but obviously one step at a time. But I do think if we all, put our head in the same spot and look for ahead, I think it is definitely we were definitely able to do it.
Yeah, just like Bella said, I mean, going to states would be a dream. That's the only goal. And just really knowing that we have a lot of work to do still and just keep pushing forward one game at a time.
All right, girls, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We wish you the best of luck in regionals, and we congratulate you so much on the district championship. We love watching you. We love supporting you, and we will be down there at Baldwin Wallace with you guys for your regional semifinal against Norway on Wednesday at 5 o'clock in Baldwin Wallace. So thanks for joining us today, and congratulations again on the district championship.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that was Bella Meyer and Gabby Gradishar, both from Champion. Had to get them on a little bit to talk about the district championship and just what they were able to do last night. It was a great game against Lakeview. It was one of two district championships that were all YSN matchups. We had South Range and Columbia in a two. We're going to talk about all of that in a minute, but we had to get Gabby and Bella on because they were we weren't there for get post-game interviews, right? So we had to make sure that we were able to get them on the show and get their thoughts on the big win for Champion. They will play Upset Alert Norway. We're going to talk about that a little bit too and what that entails for Champion in Baldwin Wallace. Let's bring up the scoreboard and go over all the scores from last night real quick. Just bear with me as I share the screen. But we had plenty of baseball and softball last night. Baseball in sectional finals. We have, I believe, every district semifinal set in baseball. And then we have obviously the Ysn again at 24. If you're counting out there, if you're a constant fan of Running Point, you're counting the times I see that word. We're at 24 now in the last 10 shows. We're at 10 show count, 24. But we had district championships in softball, and we have regionals now set in every division. We have representatives in divisions 1, 2, and 3. Unfortunately, we couldn't make it 4 out of 4, but we had a couple of opportunities there, and we're proud of the teams that got that close either way. So we go into the scoreboard on ysnlive.com, which is presented by our good friends. Good friends over at Burnett Pool Spas and Hot Tubs. The YSN scoreboard is a great tool for our YSN fans, whether you are at one of the games or watching one of our broadcasts. Either way, you don't want to look away from the screen for too long, and the YSN scoreboard is a great and easy way to get live updated scores from your favorite teams across the YSN family. We have a great team behind the scenes, everybody, a great team that makes sure that this scoreboard is as live updated as possible, and we do it all for you. It can be found at ysnlive.com/scores and is presented by Burnett Pools, Spas, and Hot Tubs. No better place to visit Burnett Pools than that now, with summer right around the corner. We'll go into baseball first. These were sectional final games. Hoban gets the big win over East Lake North, 13-3. The fourth-seeded Knights advance into the district semifinals. Louisville, they get the win by 1 run over Uniontown Lake, a very scrappy Blue Streaks team, but the Leopards survive and advance 5-4, the final score. Glen Oak gets the best of Austintown Fitch and ends the Falcons' really impressive season. They shared the AAC with Canfield, but they fall to Glen Oak 9-0, the final score there. We go from Division 1 to Division 4. Springfield gets the win over Cornerstone Christian, 6-1, the final score in that one. Ashtabula St. John gets to win 11-0 over Medina Christian. McDonald also with a win, 17 to 2 over Open Door Christian in Elyria. We had JFK get the win over Shocker, 9-0, the final score. A lot of blowouts in our Division 4 games. Middle Ridge edges out Grand Valley 4-2. The co-MVAC champs with Springfield, both of them still alive as they go into district semifinals with the win. Wyndham will fall to Lawtonville 12-2. The final score of the Bombers season comes to an end in sectionals. So does the Blue Devils of Western Reserve 7-1. They fall to Dalton. Unfortunately, we have to also say goodbye to Heartland Christian, who lost 6-2 to Mapleton. Not Maplewood, Mapleton. Don't get those two confused, like I have in the past. Lisbon goes on the road to Maplewood and loses 10-0. So the Blue Devil season ends. Let's get off this losing and go to Jackson Milton, who got the win to get into the district semifinals. They will play Ashtabula St. John, I believe, and their win against Bristol 6-1, the final score there. Crestview gets the best of Columbiana with a big finish to the game where they scored a lot of runs late. 9-2, the final score. Crestview wins over the Clippers on the road. Cardinal Mooney falls to United, a walk-off suicide squeeze. The difference, and I'm going to joke with DJ because there's something about him and walk-off suicide squeezes in tournament games, because he was on the call for this one. But we all remember the state semifinals last year where Canfield had a squeeze play on from Faith Morrell that also walked it off and got them into the state championship game. Maybe not as much at stake for United as they were just in the sectional finals, but still a walk-off squeeze bunt. Pretty dang rare, but now DJ's seen 2 of them in the last 2 seasons. So maybe he brings that small ball mojo to the games that he calls. Ursuline goes on the road, upsets the 1 seed 2-1. They win over Poland. And that, like I said, is going to be a tough draw for Poland as the 1 seed. They knew they were getting probably Ursuline in the sectional finals. Ursuline way underseeded because of the schedule they play. I believe they were the 9. But the fact that Poland, the 1 seed, had to play them first, right out of the gates, just a tough draw. And they fought hard. It was a great baseball game. Both teams had opportunities to win, but Ursuline does just enough to get past Poland, and they come away with that 2-1 victory. We go to Boardman. They fall to Massillon Jackson 9-0. The final score. The Spartans have a great season come to an end. Hubbard does not end their season, although Streetsboro's pitching really tried to make it a tough one for the Eagles. They avoid the upset. They win 1-0 over the Rockets. Streetsboro can't quite make it 2 and 8 teams in a row knocking out of the tournament. We had a regular season game between West Branch and Canfield. There's a tournament tune-up. They both won on Wednesday night to secure their spot in districts. West Branch gets to win 5-3 over the Cardinals last night. And then last but not least, East Canton gets to win over Conneaut 12-0 to end the Spartan season in the sectional finals. We go to softball district championships and a couple of league championships as well. First, we have Canfield. They got the 6-2 win over Marlington to advance to another regional semifinal. We have Champion. They got the win. We just talked to Gabby Gradishar and Bella Meyer on the show. They got the win 4-0 over Lakeview. Gabby Gradishar gave up just 1 hit to that Bulldogs offense that is so good. South Range has a big 5th inning, and they run away from Columbiana 13-3. We'll talk about that game in a bit as well. Southern falls but fights really hard against second-seeded Mogador and makes the Wildcats, earn it 6-0, though Southern loses to the second-seeded Mogador. And then in regular season action with the conference championship on the line in extras, Edgewood gets the win in game 1 over Madison 1-0. Madison comes back and knocks off Edgewood 5-4 in game 2. This means that at the top of the CVC, Edgewood is conference champion, but because they split, they will share that conference championship with Perry. So Perry and Edgewood sharing the CVC with a split from Madison. Edgewood could have had it themselves if they won both games, but we know winning doubleheaders against good opponents, not easy at all. Especially because doubleheaders, because of Fighting Sunlight, they have to be 5-inning games instead of 7. The first one went into extras anyway. So when 8 innings and it's a 5-inning normal doubleheader, that means that this game went into 3 extra innings on its own in game 1. And they have to come back and play another one in game 2. Both teams played well in that second game, but Madison gets to win 5-4. And Perry is the biggest cheerleader for Madison with that win, as Perry now shares the conference with Edgewood. But that first win gives the Warriors the conference championship. Congratulations to Edgewood. What a fantastic season. They return a lot of their roster next year, I believe. Only 2 seniors on the squad. So the Warriors, after a really strong season, will be coming back strong next year as well. So let's go up and talk about some of these games. We'll start with baseball. These were sectional finals, and Division I taken care of by the teams you expected to win with Hoban and Louisville. They were top seeds in the district, and they've had an incredible season. You kind of just expected they're going to do well in the tournament, 13-3. But Louisville gets a heck of a fight. We know that Division I is just ridiculously good. These lower seeds are good enough to beat people. It's a different animal in Division I. And that's why you saw Gleno come into Fitch and get the win, because they might be the lower seed, but it just doesn't matter in Division I because everyone's just got someone that's really good, really good. So Division I, we have 2 teams in the district semifinals with Hoban and Louisville moving on. Springfield and Mineral Ridge, they both had really good seasons in the regular year. They both tied for the MVAC. They're both at the top of the conference. And they both had games where I thought they were going to be tested quite a bit. Mineral Ridge definitely was. Grand Valley comes within 2 runs of them, 4-2. Springfield used a little bit of offense to get it, and then the pitching was really good. Let's look at both game changers and see what the difference was for first the Springfield game against Cornerstone Christian. When you talk about Springfield, you got to first talk about Colton Rourke. He seems to have a good game every time Springfield is successful. I think this team kind of goes as he goes, and if you look at the box score from last night, it was no different. As Colton went with 4 walks, no official at bats. He walked 4 times, scored 2 runs, and then so he set the tone with a good eye at the plate. You had Blake Jeffries with 2 hits and an RBI and a run scored. And then, the bottom of the order for Springfield doing some damage, and that's what makes a tournament team really good. When you can have contributors from the bottom of the order. Cooper Inslee hit in the 7 spot for Springfield, and he was one of the best bats on the night. You look at it, he went with 2 hits on the day. He was 2 for 2, a perfect day at the plate with a run scored. So that's good. And then you look at the bottom of the order, 7, 8, and 9. They went a combined 3 for 6 with an RBI in there as well. So when the bottom of the order bats 500, That just makes things really tough because then you have to pitch to the top of the order, some of the best hitters on the team with runners on base, and that's when things get really hairy for the pitching staff. Cornerstone Christian has really good pitching, but when you're putting runners on for the best players on the team, the best hitters, statistically, then you're just asking to get yourself into some trouble. Middle Ridge, on the other hand, they've been relying on pitching all year, and this game was no different, as they only allow 2 runs to Grand Valley. Their offense is spotty. They'll get into their grooves every now and then, but their bread and butter at Middle Ridge is absolutely pitching, especially Nate Anderson, their freshman, who is just living on a different world as a freshman pitcher. Box score last night, though, he was not the starter. He did come in relief and threw 3 innings, threw 46 pitches, which means he'll be fine for districts. I think they wanted to manage that pretty well. The strategy of making sure, I'm sure they want to start him for the district semifinals. So he threw 3 innings in relief, gave up 1 hit, no earned runs, struck out 1. The Ridge pitching staff as a whole struck out 7. Big hit on the day from Mr. Anderson, who came in late and had an at bat. He was 1 for 1 with 2 RBI, and those 2 RBI was a difference when they won 4-2. So the freshman for Middle Ridge not phased at all by the district, by I should say sectional stage, and the Rams are definitely hoping that stays the same when they get into districts. They have a lot of talent, and they will go into the district semifinals with a lot of momentum after that win. Want to talk about this Ursuline Poland game because I've been hyping it up. I knew it was going to be a tough draw for the Bulldogs, and I knew it was going to be a really good game going into this with 2 really good pitching staffs. And when you look at the way the game kind of flowed for the Irish, there was nothing doing for most of the game. In fact, the Irish scored 1 run in the 6th, 1 run in the 7th. They were held scoreless through 5 innings, but they came out late and with 2 runs in the last 2 innings, won 2-1. They out-hit the Bulldogs by 1, 6-5, 2 runs on 6 hits, 1 error for Ursuline, 1 run on 5 hits, no errors for Poland. Anthony Treveri had an RBI. He went 1 for 4. And then an RBI from Kohler, who went 1 for 3 with an RBI as well. Luke Kohler with the big hit there. Bottom of the order, we talked about it with the Springfield game. Bottom of Ursuline's order, 7, 8, 9, all had a hit, and they're a combined 3 of 8 on the day with a run scored. So once again, when you're setting up the top of the order, and no shocker that their leadoff hitter, Anthony Treveri, had an RBI because he came up with runners on. When the bottom of your order can do damage in tournament play, you can make a difference. And I think the teams that have the big advantage are the teams with players 7, 8, 9 that know how to get on base, know how to hit. The teams that have relied on 1 through 5 all year and 6 through 9 is kind of a black hole. You kind of start to see them struggle in tournament play, especially the further you go, because the further you go, the more pitchers are going to be able to at least withstand your 1 through 5 hitters or 1 through 4. And some pitchers are just going to say, hey, forget giving up, extra base hits. We're going to walk these guys, put runners on for the bottom of your order, which we know is very vulnerable. And that's a strategy too. Some teams will do that very well. So Ursuline's bottom of the order makes that really hard. 3 hits from 7, 8, 9 hitters combined, and 1 run scored between them. CJ Frasco also went 1 for 3 with a run scored. He also walked. He also pitched very well. 7 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 10 strikeouts. Any coach alive would take a 10-1 strikeout to walk ratio. Poland still played really well, proved, hey, we're the 1 seed for a reason. We're not going to get pushed around by Ursuline. Top of the order for them, and Carmine Tukalo was 2 for 3, the only hitter on the day with multiple hits for Poland. The difference was they could not get runners on for him. The bottom of the order, we're talking about this. This is a trend. You see Ursuline really succeed at the bottom of the lineup. Poland, on the other hand, from hitters 6 through 9, they had 1 hit. one hit in 3, 6, 8, 9, 13 at bats in hitters 6 through 9. So that's the difference. The Poland top of the order did well, went 2 for 3, but it didn't hurt as much as the top of the order for Ursuline, because they just never had the RBI opportunities in hand for Poland. You got to have the bottom of your order succeed when you're playing tournament games. It's got to happen. And that was the difference in the Springfield game. That was the difference in the Poland game. And I think it'll be the difference in a lot of games moving forward, both baseball and softball. Talking about some of these teams when they get to regionals, when you start to pick apart who are the favorites, you start to look at those rosters, you start to look at those lineups and say which teams have better 6 through 9 hitters. And you start to think, well, that offense might have a little bit of an advantage because they're not going to have a big black hole in their lineup once you get past 1 through 5. So some teams are like that, some teams aren't. That's what makes this regional and this district for baseball very interesting. Let's go into regional district championship time. We'll talk about Canfield first. We knew Marlington was going to put up a heck of a fight. They're always a good program. They've been a good program for a while. They have a couple of district championships in the last 5 years, and they've been a thorn in Canfield's side in their latest runs to regional tournaments. But you look at the way this game played out for Canfield. Pulling up the box score now. Canfield had a 3-0 lead after 1. They set the tone early. They added 2 in the 3rd and then 1 more for good measure in the 6th to answer Marlington's 2 runs. So Marlington cut it to a 5-1 game. No, I'm sorry, a 5-2 game. And Canfield said, we're going to answer that score with one of our own. No shutdown inning. They got the extra run. 10 hits for the Cardinals. That's 3 hits for Marlington. 1 error as well. When you look at the big hitters in the Canfield lineup, Jenna Treveri, top of the order, 2 for 4 with a run scored. You had Sydney Lutz go 2 for 3. And then the bottom of the order again, 7, 8, 9. It's another trend. 3 hits combined between Kaylee Ortiz, Macy Kalina, and Sammy Economist. Economist went 2 for 3 with an RBI down there. So the middle and bottom half of the order really did their damage. In fact, this was the game where Marlington kept Leah Figueroa, the biggest hitter in the lineup, in check. She was 0 for 3 with a walk. So, when you do that, you have a good chance, you think, but then Canfield sneaks up on you in that bottom half of the order with Sydney Lutz and Faith Morrell and Kaylee Ortiz and Sammy Economist. They all, Ortiz and Morrell, Lutz and Morrell both had multiple hits, and they both had RBIs. Melina Toth was 1 for 2 with an RBI as well for the Cardinals. And then pitching in the circle, she went all 7, gave up the 3 hits, 2 runs were both earned, did walk 3, struck out 13. So walks a little bit elevated. You don't want to give good teams those kind of opportunities, but at the same time, 13 strikeouts to 3 walks, I think a lot of people will take that strikeout to walk ratio too. It's all about when you walk people and when those walks come about and how many of them they cluster into each other. If you walk, 3 people, but 1 in the 1st, 1 in the 3rd, and 1 in the 5th, that's okay. You can get past that. But when you're walking 3 people in 1 inning and it turns into a huge inning, see, there's a little bit of a difference there between the two. Both pitchers have 3 walks, but one pitcher gave up 3 walks in 1 inning, loaded the bases, and the other pitcher gave up, spread out 3 walks from the 1st, the 5th, and the 6th, or whatever it may be. So, Melina Toth is really good at situational pitching. Walks elevated a little bit on her standards, of course, but 13 strikeouts, that's pretty dang good. Canfield advances to the regional semifinals on Wednesday. They will be going to Nordonia to play in the semis. That will be against Aurora, who's the 1 seed in the district. That's a big one, 2:00. You got it. A lot of people think Aurora, if Canfield gets past Aurora, the door opens really wide for them to get into state. And some people think that Aurora might be the biggest threat for Canfield in Division 2, with Talmadge a little bit down this year. I don't know. I haven't looked too deep into the rest of the state enough to say that. I've definitely kept an eye on our district and our region. I do think Aurora is the biggest threat in the region for Canfield. And I think if they were able to get through the G-men, who have a very good offense. I'm sorry, not the G-men, the Greenmen. And then the door swings open, not taking the next game for granted at all. It doesn't mean that the next team's not going to be good. If you get to the regional finals, you're a good team. But Aurora is the biggest threat there. They're the 1 seed for a reason. They're undefeated on the season. And they're a very good softball team. So we're going to have to see how Canfield can do against Aurora on Wednesday. We go to Champion against Lakeview. As we said before, Champion gets to win 4-0 over the Bulldogs. It was a one-hit performance from Gabby Gratishar. She also hit a home run. She's got 21 now on the season. She is 2 shy from tying the season record, and she is 3 shy from breaking that season record for the OHSA. The record's 23. She has already broken the program record for home runs in a season. She has now 39 in her career. The record for her career, I believe, is like 51. I know Allison Smith hit 50 plus in her 3 years at Champion, minus the COVID year. So that's going to be, one that maybe she can break if she gets, a really good senior season and keeps that rolling. You got to think, if she hits one more, she'll go into her senior season with 40 on her career. And she had 18 last season, 21 this season. Even if there's a little drop off, that last number is going to be well into the 50s. And she could very well have the chance to break into the 60s if she has a big senior year. So that's exciting for her. That really is. The Penn State graduate is lighting the world on storm. But you go into Champions game, and once again, the flow of this game, just like the first time against Lakeview, where Champions scored all 5 of their runs in the first inning, they set the tone in the start. They scored 2 runs in the first inning this time around. We're up 2-0 early. You give Gabby Gratishar an early lead, it just puts so much pressure on the other team. Uh, 4-0 was the final. 7 hits for Champion, 1 error on the day for the Flashes, no runs, 1 hit, 2 errors for Lakeview. But 2-0 after 1, and then they added 2 more runs in the 5th to really solidify that win. Gratishar was 2 for 4 with a home run and an RBI, 2 runs scored. You had Warzela with 1 for 3 day and a walk and a run scored. Meyer was 1 for 4 with a run scored. You had Zoe Paulette 1 for 3 with an RBI. 2 RBI day from Haley Householder, although she didn't have a hit. She had 2 RBIs. Tells me that she's really good at situational hitting. And then you had some hits from the bottom half of the order with Grace Hadley going 1 for 3 and Maddie Sylvester going 1 for 3 as well. That's going to be really important for Champion. I don't want to beat the dead horse, but last year, one of their downfalls against South Range in the finals was that bottom half of the order. Julie Stakowitz did not let anyone 6 through 9 touch the softball. The top half of the order did pretty well. Gabby Gratishar hit a home run in that game. Warzela had a hit. You had players really succeed in the top half of the order. The problem was they would get on, and then the next half of the order just could not do anything. So that second half of the order in Champion is going to be a real big key for them going forward into regionals. They will play Norway, and this is a big story in the softball world. Everyone kind of penciled in Triway into this region. Triway, state-ranked Division I pitcher, Division I Power 5 pitcher. They're going to get out of districts, no problem. Pencil them in. Everyone's talking about this region. I am too. I was talking about this region. It's going to be South Range and Champion and Triway and all these big teams. Could have had Keystone. They fell in the regional semifinals, but Tuslaw, who has just won the region 2 years ago, they're in there. Triway lost in the district championship to Norway, proving the wildness, bonkerness, and fickleness of one-and-done tournament softball. Triway was the 1 seed. Norway was the 8. But from what I know from Norway, which honestly isn't a ton. I do know that they have a fairly young roster, and sometimes young teams don't know what they don't know, and they did not have any intimidation. They just went in like a young team, young and swaggered against this, powerhouse pitcher that was, committed to college, going to the next level, and they had 11 hits off of her, in a 6-4 win over Triway. So I'm not going to disrespect Norway and say that the regional is easy now, but you would be remiss if you didn't say, well, now the door is open just a little bit more for the other teams in the region, because that's one less Division One Power 5 pitcher. There's still one in the region, which is crazy enough as it is. But now you have one less. And champions got to be looking at this game going, okay, give respect to Norway. They got the upset. They're dangerous. But at the same time, we no longer have to go up against Carter Wachtel in the circle. We don't have to go up against a Division One Power 5 pitcher who has 1,000+ strikeouts in her career. And that's the doors open a little bit more for champion than it used to be. Now it's really tough going up against teams that just got the upset because they're feeling it. They're hot. They're riding a wave. You have to match that energy. But like I said, no disrespect to Norway Null. Congratulations on the win. They definitely did a lot of things right in that offense. If you can hit Carter Wachtel, you can hit a lot of people. So 11 hits on the day, you did something right. But at the same time, you got to think if you're in champion shoes, your eyes are getting a little bit open. Like, okay, then that obstacle just got a little bit smaller. It's not as big anymore. Last year they had to play Keystone in the regional semifinals, and that was a team that has, I believe, 6 state championships in their program history. They're one of the blue bloods in the state, right next to champion. So that was brutal enough, and then they had to go play South Range in the final. Now it's not Triway, it's Norwayne in the semifinals after a big upset in the districts, and then champion, and we'll play the winner if they win of Tuslaw and South Range. Who is the next game we talk about? South Range and Columbiana got together. Old school rivalry, two programs that are really, really close to each other, not just geographically, but also with both teams knowing each other really well. Matty Kurtz, the assistant coach at Columbiana, I almost said Canfield. The assistant coach at Columbiana played at South Range for 4 years under Coach DeRose. And Daryl Kurtz, her husband, who is the head coach, was on staff at South Range, so they all know each other really, really well. A lot of respect between these two teams. Some of the players play with each other in summer ball. So these two programs were really close. And for the first 4 innings, this game looked like it was going to be an absolute show. Columbiana, I almost said Canfield again. Columbiana comes out and they score 2 runs off the jump. Top of the first, 2 runs. Keelan Plesko with a big 2 RBI double. And, look, okay, Canfield set the tone. And then they limit the damage in the first. South Range scores 1. Kira Brogan sets the tone when leadoff hit. Eventually comes around to score. Okay, but they hold in the 1. So Columbiana still in the lead, right? South Range comes up in the third, takes the lead off of a Kira Brogan triple into the left field corner. Almost got an infield inside the park home run, tried to stretch it. Was thrown out between third and home, but did score 2 runs, but South Range had 3-2. Now you're thinking, okay, now it's South Range in the control. They just scored 2 runs on a huge hit. They have momentum. Well, here comes Caitlin Pleska, top half of the next inning in the 4th, solo jack. Tie game, 3-3. And then Columbiana in the bottom of the 4th, they hold South Range, no runs. Daly Wilt in this game, after the tumultuous start, the first couple innings, giving up 3 runs, really took a deep breath and locked things down and just started to really execute her pitches extremely well. You could tell there were probably a little bit of jitters in the first couple innings just because it was her first district championship game in the circle. But man, did she lock down in a big way. It kept that offense down for the rest of the game. And then in the bottom of the 5th, that's when things got wild for South Range. Let's go over everything that happened in the bottom of the 5th and how this game turned so quickly. I was calling this game, and I've called a lot of softball. in my career at YSU first, now YSN. I've called the Youngstown State games. I've called all the games. I've called the YSN. I don't think I can remember a game that went from super competitive to run rule this quick. I mean, it was you blink and you all of a sudden South Range is just totally in control. It got away from Columbiana really quick. You look at the way this went down. 8 runs in the bottom of the 5th after a scoreless 4th, where both teams were tied going into the 4th. Both pitchers had a really good 4th inning with no runs given up. So let's go look at how this 5th inning went down. Okay, it's starting off with a walk. All right, Heidi Bartels walks to lead off the inning. Remember this, it'll come back full circle. So Heidi Bartels leads off the inning with a walk. Then, top of the order, Kira Brogan, who had a huge day at the plate, 3 extra base hits, hits a double, scores a run. No, hits a double, puts runners on second and third. And then an error makes it 4-3 South Range. Gianna Pauline puts the ball in play. An error makes it 4-3. A walk. An error makes it 5-3. Infield fly first out of the inning as Gamble got Gretchen Bartels to fly out in the infield. You start to think, okay, she's calming down. She's going to limit the damage here. Give Columbiana a little bit of a chance in the top half of the 6th. But then Ashley Rupert comes in, gets hit in the helmet by a pitch. That forces in a run. It's 6-2. You have a walk to Selena DeJesus, makes it 7-2. And then remember how this inning started out. After a strikeout for 2 outs, there's 2 down now. In steps Heidi Bartels, who walked to start off the inning and walked her last at bat before that. 2 walks leading up to this at bat. The very smart hitter comes up, knows, okay, I've walked twice. I'm going to get a strike. I'm probably going to get a strike. I'm probably going to get a really good strike because this pitcher does not want to walk me again and probably feels like in the 9 spot, I'm someone that can be attacked. I probably heard it from their coaching throughout the last couple innings. Hey, you got to attack this 9 hitter. You're walking her. You got to attack her. So Heidi Bartels comes up aggressive. First pitch of the at bat. I should say second pitch. I'm sorry, second pitch of the at bat. Took 1 strike, and then the next pitch with a 0-1 count drills it to center field. Grand slam. Second home run of the season for Heidi Bartels. And that was the nail in the coffin. That made it 11-3. You could tell Columbiana's sales were gone after that. South Range comes up in the bottom of the 6th, and Jaylee Welch hits a 2-run home run to walk it off. 13-3 was the final. But you see how quick that kind of derailed for Columbiana. And I think one of the differences, talking to Daryl Kurtz after the game, knowing South Range, I think it's kind of a cop out, but experience. South Range has been in this game. That was their 5th consecutive district championship. All those players know what it's like to play in a district championship. Columbiana hadn't. Columbiana was trying to get their first district championship since 2011. And you start to see a little bit of tightness when a couple of things went wrong. And I think that kind of got into the psyche a little bit, and they couldn't snap back from that because it all happened in 1 inning. Props to South Range for continuing to put the pressure on, continuing to have good at bats, drawing some walks. They're okay with walking. They're not going to chase to try to get a big hit, and then using that advantage to see a strike and drive it over the wall. Like I said, this game got out of hand in a hurry, and I honestly, this is something I'll be honest about. I'm transparent. When Jaylee Welch hit the home run, I didn't realize it was a walk-off until I looked down to change the scoreboard, because it didn't feel like South Range was run rolling Columbiana, because for 4 innings you saw these teams trading blows and it was 3-3. You almost forgot that it was 11-3 at that moment because it felt like this game was super competitive. That 8-inning was that 8-run inning, I should say, was a fever dream. It was like, and then you come in the next inning, and I'll say it, like, my call wasn't as exciting as you'd expect a walk-off to be, because I didn't realize it was a walk-off until I looked at the scoreboard and said, oh, it's 13-3. That's a walk-off home run. Like, I call the home run, but then you realize, oh, it's over. And it didn't feel like it at all. It really didn't. A big fifth inning for South Range. Things went off the rails, and the Raiders win in run roll fashion, 13-3. They will play Maslin Tuslaw. And I'll tell you what, as soon as I told Coach DeRose and Coach Farron that that's who won the district and that's who they're lined up with, they both got really excited because they hold grudges and they owe Tuslaw a little bit of a revenge. The Tuslaw Mustangs were the last team to beat South Range out of a regional 2 years ago in 2022. That was when the Raiders were coming off of their state championship run, where they got in the state championship, I should say, state runner-up run with Bree Kohler, her senior year in 2021. Came back the next year, Tuslaw beat them out of the regionals. So they have a bone to pick with Tuslaw. They're trying to get some revenge on Tuslaw. But I told them, I said, hey, either way, if Hillsdale would have won that game, you would have had a little bit of revenge against them too. A little bit of a long time ago revenge, but it would be really a story for me because my high school days, first ever time that South Range, not first ever, but the first time in this new South Range dynasty they got into regionals, they lost to Hillsdale. That was back in 2010, I believe, regional finals that year. Because, yeah, I believe Hillsdale was the regional finals my junior year, 2010. So it would have went in full circle if Hillsdale would have won that. And I was joking with Coach DeRose after the game. I said, hey, if it's I didn't know the score yet. If it's Hillsdale, full circle, 10 years, 14 years ago when this whole thing started, it was Hillsdale that was South Range's opponent in regionals, and could have been that again. But Tuslaw had other plans. They won 4-0, and they'll play South Range on Wednesday at Baldwin Wallace University. 2:00 is your first pitch for that one. So that's your recap. It went longer than most. I apologize to our sponsors. We didn't get a commercial break in today with the guest with Gabby Gradisher and then me just talking up softball like crazy. Always fun. We have a little bit of a calm before the storm over the weekend. Nothing happened tonight. I don't think it would happen even if it was scheduled tonight because it's been raining all day. Nothing happened over the weekend. Then Monday we come back. We have district semifinals for baseball on Monday and Tuesday, district championships on Wednesday and Thursday, and then we'll get ready for regional finals on Wednesday for regional semifinals, I should say, for Wednesday for softball, and hopefully our teams can win and get into regional finals on Friday as well. So it's going to be a big week next week with a lot on the line, but you get to take a little bit of a breath this weekend, a little bit of calm before the storm, if you'd say. So that'll be fun. And enjoy the weekend, everybody. This was Running Point. Thank you so much for tuning in. I want to thank Gabby Gradisher and Bella Meyer for coming on sort of last minute and talking about that district championship. We're proud of Champion for winning that district championship and getting to regionals. We wish them the best of luck in the regional semifinals, and we definitely hope that we have an all-YSN regional championship for the second year in a row. We hope that happens as Champion and South Range staring down the barrel of a rematch from last year's regional championship in Baldwin Wallace. So we want to thank them for coming on and sharing their thoughts about the district championship game. We wish them the best of luck on Wednesday, and we will see you all on Monday from 1 to 2 on Running Point, brought to you by